Why is God so cruel? So in this video, what I want to refer to straight away is what is God itself. We need to listen to ultimately the voices which are in our head, which are ultimately compromising the essence of who we really are. And the essence of who we really are is godlike in nature. God is what I'm referring to as a connection to a higher self, and the higher self represents, we could call spirit, or we could call the infinite knowing of all. We don't need to categorize God. We don't need to we don't need to put God in a box. We just need to refer to God as the infinite knowing. And in this reality, we may come across very brutal experiences. And these brutal experiences can almost scar us and lead us to living a life of not only distress, but also frustration and anger. Now, what we must understand is that this lifetime brings us choice. And our choices are effectively the essence which will bring us back to our internal knowing, this godlike self. Choices are effectively calculations, and calculations equate to a certain algorithm, and this algorithm will effectively bring us this inner awareness which we can ultimately use to raise above our minds. Our mental paradigm is extremely suppressive. Our minds are designed to initiate a sense of submission to our own inner self. We are restricted within getting to know ourselves via the constant bombardment of thoughts within our perception. Our minds are always thinking about possibilities that are distracted from just resonating with our true self. We're not taught to get to know ourselves. We're taught to become extremely successful within this reality, or at least the image of what success could be. We're constantly initiated within thoughts which are designed to come into our lives, come into our minds, to effectively keep us away from getting to know who we really are and what we're really doing here. We must come back and understand that the godlike self doesn't resonate to suffering. And we must understand that this experience which we're experiencing is equating to choices. And no matter how we are impacted within this reality, no matter how much this reality draws us down or contaminates our experience, we have to understand that we have the power within ourselves which can come back and resonate to that godlike self. Within this godlike self, there is no such thing as pain. There is no such thing as suffering. And when we can connect into that presence of that existence, we feel an unconditional sense of love and gratitude and compassion. And this reality is ultimately here to give us choice, to experience this reality and ultimately learn that there is something greater within ourselves which we can resonate to. And when we resonate to that godlike self, we come to understand that the only way to hold connection to that self is via a means of acceptance. We must learn to accept what this reality produces and how it contaminates the outer world. However, we hold the power and we have the key to unlock the inner world within ourselves, which is ultimately channeling to this godlike self. God is not brutal. The paradigm, the world which we live in, is brutal. And in order to break free of this paradigm of pain, suffering, evil, we must learn to resignate to that God-like self.